I'd like to take a look at 3 different styles of cabinets. In the cabinet industry, we start throwing around names of different styles of cabinets, but basically they're kind of broken into 3 categories. One would be a framed cabinet, next would be an inset cabinet, and then the third would be a frameless cabinet. So we'll just quickly take a look at each of those. So we'll start out with one that's pretty common in the Midwest here, good and hardy. Cabinets made, this is a framed cabinet. So it's made up of a box that's the kind of the melamine maple color that's behind the box with the shelves. But then it has this, what we call a faced frame that runs around the front of the cabinet that's attached to the box, okay? Then the doors are actually overlaid on the cabinet frame like you see here. And this is a pretty good size, almost a full overlay, meaning you see very little of the frame beyond where the door is sitting. Okay, so it tends to be a pretty nice solid cabinet because that face frame prevents the box from racking, but that is what a framed cabinet looks like with pretty much a full overlaid door. Okay, so the next would be an inset door. And this is actually constructed very similarly to a framed cabinet where you have obviously the box, the back side of the cabinet, and then you have a face frame that wraps around the front of the cabinet box. But in this, with an inset cabinet, rather than being an overlay door where the door overlaps the face frame, this is an inset where it actually sits inset inside of the frame, okay? Now it gives you a very nice clean look as far as the doors being basically in the same plane and the drawers being in the same plane as the frame of the cabinet. But one downfall is that you have to watch as far as the spacing in a inset cabinet that would remain consistently, so it has to be installed very precisely. This door looks like it could be adjusted a little bit. We notice that there's a little bit more of a gap down there than there is here. That would drive some clients absolutely nuts. But one of the benefits of having a black cabinet is that it's more difficult to see that black gap or that shadow gap between the door and the actual face frame. So that's an inset cabinet. And the third one would be a frameless cabinet. So this is constructed with a box, again in the back, but in this one you'll notice that it's frameless, that we don't have that frame piece that wraps around the front. The door is what we call a full, really a true full overlay, and what they do is they edge band the front edge of the box because you do have a gap and you see that, and we want to make that all match. So they edge band that. Now this is a pretty contemporary door style. Just because it's frameless doesn't mean that it has to be a contemporary door style. We could do something very traditional and still do it on a frameless cabinet. The nice thing about frameless cabinetry is that you end up with a very consistent plane across because there's such little gappage between your doors, drawers, and those kinds of things. You really don't see any face frame whatsoever. Here is an awning style, hopper style door that would open up. Again, you see the box edge banded to match the door, and then the full overlay door. The other thing that's really nice about this particular line from Showplace is that, and most frameless cabinets have this, is the door hinges are removed very easily. You just unhook that and boom, the door comes off. There's no screws to take out. That's really kind of a handy feature. And I'll see if I can get this back in. And it's back on. So we've taken a look at the inset door, the framed cabinet, as well as the frameless cabinet. So hopefully that cleared up some of the differences between the 3 of those. and what those terms mean. As far as price point goes, typically the Inset would be the most expensive of those three. Framed cabinet with the fuller overlay would be in second, and then the third one would be the frameless cabinet. They both have kind of their different looks about them. You know, ultimately there might be some added strength in a framed cabinet because of that frame going around the front, but once you get them installed, gang them together, installed properly, the frameless will perform just as well as the framed cabinets. So I know that can be a lot, but if you need more specifics related to kind of weighing the pros and cons of those and what's going to work best for you, please feel free to reach out to one of our designers here at DreamMaker.